guys. My name is Michael. I'm with Power Solar, and this is Preston Higgins. He is a general contractor here in Central Florida. Um, I'm gonna let Preston take the wheel and just kind of talk about himself and his experience and stuff. So if you want, let the people know who you are and what it is that you do, Preston.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. As you said, my name is Preston Higgins. I started Blueco Builders about 2 months ago, so we're a really new business. We specialize in light commercial. So when you think retail, small mixed use, industrial, restaurants, anything like that, that's kind of our wheelhouse. Um, I started Blueco Builders because of a few reasons. Primarily, because there is a lot of opportunity in the industry. There are statistics that 41% of our construction workforce is going to retire by 2031. So the construction workforce is really aging out at this point. And we don't have a lot of people coming in. So as you, I'm sure, well aware, prices are already pretty high right now because of labor shortages and other things as well. But that's just going to increase over the next 5 to 7 years.
Mhm.
So I'm looking to help provide solutions for that. There are other issues too. I mean, one of the reasons why we aren't attracting a lot of people is just because our industry is notorious for not taking very good care of their employees. And so my company, we are really, really focused on caring for our people and developing a culture where people can really thrive. Um, I mean, there are lots of other issues. I mean, only 30% of projects come within 10% of budget. 75% of projects don't meet the schedule, way over schedule. So the industry standard just isn't very good right now. And
Mhm.
with the 30% growth that we're expecting in construction in the next 10 years, we need good people to take care of these projects. And so I thought I would step in, start this company where we can hopefully deliver that ultimate building experience, um, and also care for the people that are doing the work as well.
Okay. And I know you said you started this 2 months ago. Like, what's your experience prior to this? What got you into actually wanting to do this?
Yeah, so I'm a fourth generation construction guy. My great great grandpa were construction guys, and my dad's a GC as well. And so it's always just kind of been in the family. Um, I was a project manager for my father for a few years, for 4 years, and then for a
Mhm.
couple of years I worked for a great company called Ground Penetrating Radar Systems. It's a construction technology company that does subsurface investigations. So
Is that
think
that
like
LiDAR stuff that they talk about?
so we do some lidar stuff. Yeah, like we do some of that. We do some like 3D laser scanning. We did some radar, a lot of radar. So like utility locating, concrete scanning. Really really fun company. It was a great company to work for. Um, and so I did that, and I got exposed to a lot of really cool projects that way as well. I mean, I
Hmm.
worked on Blue Origin, SpaceX, all the parks.
Oh wow.
I got to work, in some big government facilities. I mean, it was really really cool projects that I was able to work on with that company. So um, that was great experience, and they also ran a great company. So I got to see how to grow and scale a good company like that. So
Hmm.
and that's my experience, just growing up in the industry, working for my dad for a few years, going to school, working for this construction technology company, and obviously I'm very passionate about the industry and its people, and so that's what led me to start my own business.
Nice. So, you've only been doing this 2 months for yourself, but really you've been running, the business for as long as you can think. So
Absolutely.
that's cool. Okay. And you had mentioned that you worked on like Blue Origin and like the different places. Like what was your biggest experience by being in places like that, like such big stature companies and working for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think what impressed me the most, and it was the same thing with the company that I worked for, is how obviously just how professional they run everything, but also um, their companies were always very mission focused.
Hmm.
Um, it was very clear on why they were in business, what they were going for, what they're trying to accomplish. You could ask anybody at the company, what is your guys' mission as a company, and they would know exactly what they're going for as a company. That was really impressive to me always, is that it seemed like everyone was really aligned on what they're trying to accomplish, their mission, their why as an organization.
Nice. Okay. And when you speak about culture, right? Like I feel like that's important. I focus on that heavily. And for me, culture and mindset are really important. Also, being able to have like good work ethic and stuff like that. For you, how come that's so important for you? Like, why everybody's got their own reasoning, right?
Sure. Um, I I do take a lot of pride in what I do. I think most people do. I'm also a millennial, so I am hyper driven by mission, by why we do what we do, right? I want a cause, and I want my work to reflect that mission as well. Um, so I think being purpose driven is important to me because we obviously we're all here to make money. We're all here to succeed and prosper and help our families grow. Um,
Hmm.
but also, I mean, we're doing this. We spend more time working than we do at home, probably more than we do sleeping a lot of times. Like we're always hustling at work. So I think having a purpose and a mission to why we actually are doing that as well, aside from all the temporal benefits, is something that brings a lot of happiness and joy to your life as well, because you feel like you are serving people, and you are if you have that mission, and that's I think that's what brings the happiness and joy, and the yeah, just satisfaction in what you do.
Okay. And then you had mentioned about like one of the reasons it's so hard to get a workforce in nowadays is because of culture and everything. Like, how do you
Sure.
present that culture to other people so that way, you can attract people as well as, keep people in your company?
Yeah, great question. Because it's a lot more than I. Construction is interesting because we are we are compensated well. I mean, a new 4 year
Mhm.
graduate from college with a construction management degree, they come join the company and they make pretty close to six figures, right? Um, you can't do that with many 4 year degrees, hardly any of them, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, so the compensation's there, and I think companies are getting better about the benefit, the fringe benefits, and all that stuff too. Um, but I think the biggest part of the culture again is having that purpose, but then also really trying to create a lifestyle where people can prosper. A terrible statistic in construction. So construction is notorious for um, people who commit suicide within the industry. On average, 15 construction workers commit suicide every day, which is horrible. That's about triple the average of any other industry. We're either the highest or the second highest next to extraction, which is like mining and oil and all that stuff. So um,
Mhm.
a lot of times, just the environment's not built to help people prosper, and so that's why I'm trying to help drive my company to set that industry standard where people really do come first. And I think when that happens, and we do that through leadership development programs, we do that through um, even we offer mental health services and counseling free of charge. I mean, we're really trying to help take care of our people because I think that directly affects the customer. If the people working for me, even my trade partners, my subcontractors, this is offered to them, the leadership development program. If if we can be good and take care of ourselves within our organization, our customers are going to be taken care of as well, right? So if I put my people first, my customers will always be taken care of. And that's what's important to me as well, is that we are delivering that building experience where my customers aren't over budget, they're not way over schedule, they're their expectations are always met because my people are capable of delivering on those expectations because I'm taking care of the needs that they have as people. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, of course. Um, if you put people first, that's the most important thing, and that's kind of like what I always tell people in sales. Like I'm doing solar, but um, a lot of people that look at solar as an industry, it's kind of like the same thing in a sense where um, you don't have that culture because solar is a contracting business,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
Um, so on the sales side, unfortunately, there's some salespeople that are not honest, and there's salespeople that will stretch things and stuff like that. And
For
when
sure.
it comes down to having a contractor put solar on their roof, well, there's two sides of trust, right?
Yeah,
The one side of trust is, did the sales agent, do the job that they need to do, which is make sure that the right system is being installed on the roof. Because the company itself could be an amazing company, but if the sales representative is a horrible representative and they're just out for the money and they're not focused on people first, which is their client,
yeah,
then that installer or the contracting company is going to put that on their roof and they're not going to be happy. Um,
absolutely.
the other side of things is, it could be the installer. Maybe the sales agent is, as great as can be, but then the roof gets in the solar gets installed on the roof, but they damage the roof, they don't install it right. And that goes back to the people first thing,
Yeah,
right? Because if you're treating your people right, they're going to do a high quality job. If you're not treating your people right, why are they going to want to work hard for you? So it goes
right,
back down to being paid and compensated well and having that good culture and having the leadership development like you were saying you have for your company and things like that. And unfortunately, there, like I said, there are bad companies and bad salespeople, but that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast is I want people to be able to see who I am, who my company is, and I'm a representative of my company just like you are, right?
right, right,
So this is a way where they can get to know me. It'll help build trust, and then at the same time, it gives exposure to my network and the people that I work with as well. And
yeah,
just kind of puts other people out there because when they see so many people that online, oh well, solar's a scam, or this person messed up my roof and blah blah blah. But how many people do they see where someone's talking positive, right?
right,
And if I can be that direct link to that positivity, you know, the more people that do business with me and the more of these that I can do, they're going to see, okay, well, you know what? I think I can trust this guy because there's so many people that he's helped out,
right,
because what I do, and I kind of touched on it in my last podcast episode, was I focus on how can I help the person that's in front of me. The more people I can help, the more money that I'm going to make and the more I'm going to be compensated. Right.
right,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I think that's great. Um, Now, let's kind of touch on solar a little bit. Obviously, that's what I do. Um, what have you seen as far as like changes in the industry towards solar? And it can be, mindset changes. It can be like regulations and rules and codes and all that other stuff. Like, how
Sure.
have you seen solar adopt and adapt in the industry?
Yeah, great question, Michael. I think as far as mindset goes, I think we're past the hump where it is that solar's kind of more than a fad now. It's here to stay. Um, I think I I read the statistic. I can't source it for you right now, but by 2050, we're anticipating about 40% of our energy is going to come from solar, um, which is crazy. That's a ton. However, I mean, obviously that's going to require a lot of space, a lot of infrastructure, and that is seriously impactful to the environment. So we're going to have to be very careful on how we approach that, right? But it's going to be here to stay, and I think that mindset has changed a little bit, where it's like, okay, we're accepting it now. Now, how are we actually going to execute properly?
Mhm.
And so I think some really exciting things, just how is solar being transported right now. Obviously, here in sunny Florida, um, we don't struggle with that as much because we have a lot of we're sourcing a lot of it directly from the state itself. Um, I think that something that's really exciting too is the potential of having solar farms out in the ocean and on other bodies of water inland.
Mhm.
Obviously, that does have impacts to the wildlife and the environment in those bodies of water. So, how we're going to approach that again, transporting the actual power. I mean, it it's going to be really interesting to see how we innovate around um, kind of our decided solution of solar. So I am
Yeah.
really excited about that and to see how that goes, and I'm sure it's going to provide a lot of new opportunity that we haven't even thought about yet. Um, Something that also I think is interesting is that it hasn't taken off quite yet, but it is starting to. There's a lot of municipalities, a lot of counties are actually just foregoing the permitting process for solar. So they're trying to incentivize homeowners, commercial owners to
Mhm.
do solar. So they're like, hey, don't worry about the permit. You you can just go ahead and do it um, without running it through the bureaucracy of the county and the city. So I'm way excited about that part.
I actually didn't hear about that, and that's awesome um,
Yeah,
to hear because from somebody on the other end where we're installing the solar, one of the longest things is getting the permitting.
absolutely,
Sometimes it can
absolutely,
take weeks, sometimes it can take over a month just to get the permit to be able to start building.
right,
So um, that's really great news because that can really cut down on the time. And one thing that I love about my company is they're always trying to innovate different ways to, make the process smoother. With a lot of other companies, sometimes the solar installs, they can take 6 months, sometimes it can take up to a year, you know, um, and it's just because they don't have the infrastructure to be able to handle a high volume of
right,
installs, right? And like you were saying, it comes down to the labor shortages and everything else. So that's
right,
why I feel blessed to be with Power, because one of the biggest things is our network of installers is so big, and we work with the local installers in the area and everything. So it allows us to be more efficient. Um, the other good thing is we try to make as much of the process in house as possible. So we have project managers that are handling everything. We have in-house inspectors, and we have our
nice,
in-house design teams and everything. So we don't go and outsource all of this different stuff that a lot of other companies do, right?
right.
So that's really good news, and something I'm going to look more into because that's going to be huge for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be huge too. And to your point, I think being more vertically integrated, I think that we're going to see that more and more, especially in solar construction and just general construction as well. Um, just because I think, like I mentioned, a lot of people are retiring, like, major amounts of people retiring in the next 5 to 10 years.
Hmm.
Um, I think we're going to see a lot of people that only have 10 to 20 years experience in the industry going towards larger companies that are able to self-perform the entire line of services like you guys are, right? And everything from sales to project execution to service, all the way around. I think that's going to be a trend that we see continue positively.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you look at it, like an example my company gives as far as like our business model, we're the only company in the entire industry that has 100% offset on carbon footprint. And the reason why we're able to achieve that is because everything that we do is digital. We don't have brick and mortar locations. We don't have a bunch of cars and stuff driving all over the place. So for
Sure.
us, it's really important that if we're trying to impact the environment in a positive way, we have to lead by example. right? We can't say that we're trying to build a better future and a better planet if we're not leading by example and, integrating that within our own business model, which so many companies don't do. Um,
Right.
so, but the examples that my company gives is like if you look at Netflix or Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a brick and mortar. Netflix came out, it put them out of business because it's online. If you
Right.
look at the example of like Amazon versus like a Walmart, Amazon completely destroyed even Walmart. They're the largest retailer in the world and they're online. And if you look
Right.
at like real estate, EXP Realty has the same business model. So if you look at Remax or Keller Williams and all those other really big brands in real estate, EXP Realty is blowing them out of the water. And EXP Realty, they're not the biggest brokerage yet, but they're the fastest growing and they are going to outpace all the other brokerages.
Mm.
So if you lead by example, when it comes to the examples that I gave, we're that within the solar industry. Everything is
It's
online,
awesome.
everything is digital. The reason why we're more efficient is because we're submitting all the paperwork and everything online. That's all being done in the cloud. So, when it comes to making sure that all the paperwork is done, we don't have to, drive to a homeowner's house and have them sign the papers and then, take it over to this place and bring it over there. Like everything
Right.
is just sent digitally. So, um, that's what got me excited about this because I have a background in real estate and I started in EXP. So when I saw this business model, I was like, okay, cool. That works for
Right.
me. So I loved EXP's business model and I love this one too. So,
That's awesome.
oh yeah, pretty cool. So what would you say for the future of solar when I mean, we're looking at like the past and integration, and then you see like the solar farms and stuff like that, some of them in the ocean and stuff. Like, what do you think about the future of solar for residential and commercial? How do you see that moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's just going to become more standard practice. And I think it'll be a selling point for commercial buildings to say that they do source a portion of their power from solar. Um, and I think it's going to become more efficient. I mean, that is something that I know solar struggled with the past 30 years or so, is that the efficiencies improve, but not as much as we had hoped. But I know that we're testing new materials and um, kind of moving away from the silicon-based panels to other methods that um, or other materials that might be more efficient. So I'm excited to see where that goes and maybe make it more even practical for smaller places like, a 6 unit retail center or a corporate campus or whatever it may be, um, where the efficiency meets a threshold where it is very cost effective and can
Hmm.
provide enough power for that place. That then turns into a selling point that maybe attracts other eco-friendly businesses and um, whatever it may be. But I think that's going to become a lot more standard over the next 10 to 15 years for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, California mandated already that everybody that builds a home after 2020, they have to include solar on the homes. So
Okay.
it's already mandated and put into place. Rhode Island is doing that. They're currently waiting for that bill to pass, and then Massachusetts should be following behind them. Um, the funny thing that you think that the top places that have solar, which is California, Florida, and Texas, they would be in line with each other. But I'm
Right.
kind of expecting to see that in Florida, but it hasn't been talked about yet. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll see. The political nature of those three states is very different, so we'll see. We'll see what
yeah.
happens there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so when you see the future of like commercial solar, um, let's touch on that a little bit. Like, because obviously commercial buildings, there's a lot of them that you'll see. Like I was driving down the road and I saw like banks with it and stuff like that. But what you haven't noticed is like the bigger, buildings like Publix's or Walmart's and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
so what do you think about the bigger commercial buildings versus some of the smaller ones?
Yeah, I think we will see it more. I don't know if it'll be by mandate or if it'll be just because of the efficiency will improve. I mean, just the nature of those buildings, typically, you have a single developer that is leasing to Publix or, the neighborhood Walmart and that retail center. Um, and so their profitability isn't necessarily dependent upon that solar, because typically the tenants are paying their own utilities, right? They're taking care of all that stuff. So I think the incentive for the developer is that it does cut down his or her overall costs in the long run. And on something the large scale like that, um, I'm really curious just to see how the future shapes what those installs are going to look like, because obviously that they're trying to have as much parking as they can, as many units as they can on that property. So space is never something that they're willing to give up on, right? To have a ground installation. But as far as rooftop, I mean, yeah, maybe. I think that we'll see a lot more of that. Um, and like I mentioned earlier, maybe as an incentive to draw in tenants that are green or eco-friendly, or that have a mission that is similar to that nature, where they're environmentally friendly, that they can advertise that, hey, this building is, whatever
Hmm.
percentage solar, ran on solar, right? And but yeah, I think we'll see more and more of it. I don't think it's going to happen really fast. I think it's going to take a little bit, but I think it
Yeah.
will happen.
Oh yeah. I know I was actually reading up on some studies and some of the biggest companies in the world have already gone solar. Amazon, Apple's gone solar, Meta's gone solar, Google's gone solar, Target actually. Speaking about the different companies, Target actually
Right.
has gone solar already.
That's
So there's a
awesome.
lot of companies that are adapting it, and this is the way I look at it, right? These are, billion and trillion dollar companies. They're not little companies at all. And they
Right.
spend, millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in, research and development to find out, okay, what is it that we can do to lower our costs? What is it that we
Right.
can do to be more efficient? And what can we do to have a better public eye? Right.
Yeah.
So if, Meta and Google and Apple and all these other places have invested their time and their money into solar, that should be a good indicator of where the future of solar is going to go, right?
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to do the research, but I can definitely, piggyback off of them and say, okay, well, if they found it as a good advantage, why wouldn't it be a good advantage for the everyday user? Because here's the thing, the only difference, and I made a video about this, the only difference between, say, Google's office and your house is the scale of which they use electricity.
Sure.
They still have appliances, they're still running lights. I'm sure they have like refrigerators and microwaves for their employees and stuff. They still have bathrooms and toilets and sinks that need heated water. So everything that's in your home is there. The
Yeah.
only difference is the consumption. So,
Sure.
the good thing about solar is it could be built to scale. So if you need a certain amount of electricity generated, you have a certain amount of solar panels on your home. If they need a certain amount of electricity generated, they're going to have a certain amount of panels in their buildings. So
Right.
um, that's the thing. A lot of people, I think, they don't understand is like, okay, well, we're just going to throw solar panels on your roof and good luck. Hopefully it covers all your bills. But
Yeah.
it really just comes down to that is the usage, and that's why it's important going back to what we were talking about earlier as far as having a good representative is when that representative has your best interests in mind, they're going to ask you questions about like your home and your usage and everything to find out what the right system is going to look like, right? Because
Yeah,
say that you have two kids and they're ready to go to college and it's just you and the wife. Well, guess what? When they go to college, your consumption is going to go down.
right.
So you have to keep that in consideration and make sure you ask those questions like, oh, do you have children? How old are they? Do you have anybody else that's going to be moving in or moving out?
Yeah,
Maybe they have health concerns. I touched on this in another video. If they have health concerns and they have life-saving equipment, or they as an instance, they have diabetes or asthma where there's medicine that needs to be kept cold in a refrigerator. It's, I think here in the state of Florida especially, it's very, very important because of the frequency of storms that we have to be able to recommend a battery to somebody like that.
yeah,
Honestly, even if they don't have like life-saving equipment and stuff, it still makes sense because if a storm comes through, you're going to be the only person with power on your house because you have that backup source of the battery.
sure.
So but it's paying attention to those things. It's the small variables that's going to be the biggest difference between somebody being happy and not being happy, right? Because if you guess wrong, right, and you just go based off of what you think they should have, when that solar goes on their home, if it covers 80% of their bill or 60% of their bill, they're going to be pissed off, you know,
Yeah,
um, unless you distinctly, discuss that with them. Okay, well, this is going to cover 80% of your bill. You'll still have a bill, but it's going to lower. So then in an instance like that, it's okay. But um,
yeah. I mean, all frustration can lead back to unmet expectations, right? So
exactly.
that's a big part of what I do, um, as far as a general contractor, project management, construction management, is that uh, we our vision is every expectation is satisfied on every project. Because yeah, I mean, if even if it still is a really good result, but they were expecting more, they're still going to be frustrated, right?
Hmm.
The communication has to be very clear, very professional. It cannot be misunderstood at all, and so that's a big part, obviously, in solar, in sales and construction, whatever it may be, just in delivering a good customer experience.
Hmm.
You got to align expectations, and you have to deliver or over deliver on those expectations.
Exactly. It's like giving. I used to work for a company, and they used to say, you want to give the Disneyland experience, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to Disney, everything is about that person, right? It's about making memories. It's about having a good time and just being able to enjoy your family. They go as far as the characters aren't allowed to take their heads off outside.
Right.
They have to do it behind scenes. Um, and I've even heard it's as far as like if they're not even feeling good, they can't do it, which is crazy. It's like, okay, you're gonna die for Disney, right? But the 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 point is though, it's like they're so focused on the customer experience, and that's why they do so well.
Right.
And if you can focus on that just like they do, you can't fail. So
Right.
I think it's awesome. Um, one thing I want to ask, and um, obviously every industry has different guarantees and stuff like that, and different warranties. But I know in your industry, when it comes to building and stuff, um, obviously you have to go through inspections and you got to meet code and all that other stuff, just like we do.
Sure.
What are some of the additional protections that your clients have by working with you?
Yeah. Great question, Michael. Um, I mean, we always want to take care of them. So if anything's supposed to last and it doesn't last, or they're not happy with it, we're going to take care of it. I mean, as far as a full warranty goes, typically it's 1 to 2 years, depending on what it actually is. But um,
Hmm.
I mean, if their water heater's supposed to last 5 6 years and it doesn't, then we're going to work that out. right? We're going to take care of it and make sure that their expectations are met. Um, if the drywall has nail pops in it, we're going to go back and fix it for them. If
Mhm.
whatever it is, I mean, especially with my commercial customers, like every day that they cannot operate at full capacity, full efficiency, they're losing money, right? And so we
Mhm.
understand that, and we really really strive to make sure that their expectations are met. So whatever that looks like, um, we make sure that they're happy and that those expectations are met.
Nice. And I know you've been doing this a long time. But maybe give an example of something that's happened where you've had to go above and beyond for somebody.
Yeah, yeah, great question. Um, I mean, I've had projects where, um, as a general contractor, obviously I'm not self-performing everything, right? I have subcontractors and trade partners that do a lot of the work as well, which has its pros and its cons. But typically, they obviously they had their own company and they have their own way of operating. I remember there was this one instance where a trade partner went and did a good job, but he left an absolute mess. Right? It was a
And
finished building. He was trying to help out with some extra work that they wanted afterwards, that they wanted to just add a little bit, and he left an absolute mess. And it was on a Saturday, and obviously the business has to be up and running, Monday morning because it was an office building. And so within a half hour, I'm there, I'm cleaning everything I can, making sure it's spick and span so that they can operate fully on Monday, right? And that's kind of how we roll always. I mean, that's just the first example that came to mind. There's something simple, but um,
yeah.
we really have our customers' best interests at heart, and we understand the ramifications to our service, and how that affects the livelihood of our customers. And so we always strive to make sure that they're taken care of, and that, yeah, even if crap, my subcontractor made an absolute mess and didn't do a very good job, did not take care of the customer like we expect him to, um, then I'm going to take full ownership and responsibility over that, and I'm going to make sure it's taken care of. Um, and that's something that we'll always live by as well.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it's a good answer. And it's important for people to, sorry, mosquito. It's important for people to realize it's like, just because we are business owners and, even though I work with power, I'm still my own business owner, right? I have to
Right.
operate as a business. It's important to understand we're not perfect. Um, but it's in our imperfections, as long as we understand that ourselves and we can take care of it when we do make a mistake. It's not about not making mistakes, but it's about how you handle them in the end of it, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
can't please everybody, but it's how much you try that's important, right?
Right. And you got to earn that, I think, too. I mean, people notice that, like you said. I mean, sometimes things didn't go according to plan, like this concrete guy that didn't do his job properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I still have to try to earn that trust and that confidence all the way through the process. Even though we'd already done the building, I really wasn't making any money on it. Like it wasn't I wasn't necessarily incentivized to do it, other than the fact that
Yeah,
I care for these people, right? And yeah, you're absolutely right.
nice. Okay. Now, obviously, we hear about the growth of the solar industry, right? And we've been talking about that a little bit. With my company, we made it to the top 10 out of all the solar companies in the industry since 2014. We're A plus rated, Better Business Bureau. We did over $300 million last year, and we really strive for growth, right? But sustainable growth where we can keep that up because you
Right.
can't grow that fast and have that kind of reputation if you're not doing things right, right?
Sure.
Um, what are your plans for growth in the future as far as your business is concerned? Like, where would you like to go, and where would you like to be, say, in the next 12 months and the next maybe 5 years or so?
Yeah, great question. As I hope I've made it very clear and evident, I love working with people, and I want to provide a company that helps people prosper and have joy in their lives. And so, yeah, obviously, I'm looking to scale, and so I really want to have a dominant presence in the light commercial space here in Central Florida. I'm hoping that within 5 years, maybe I have a regional office in Tampa or in somewhere in South Florida, maybe up in Jacksonville. I mean, I'm looking to be throughout the state, in the major metro areas where um, there is more commercial work, and
Hmm.
and really provide an opportunity where people can have equity in the company, that people can obviously have that ownership, and then they can help grow and profit by that, and provide the same opportunity for their people as well. Um, and then, yeah, really just looking to grow and continue the mission of trying to pioneer this elevated standard that I've been talking about in the industry, and really become a thought leader that way in the industry as well. Um, and so, yeah, I plan on growing as much as possible. And um, something that I do is um, I have a 6 month emergency fund, obviously, personally, but I also have that for the company as well. So
Hmm.
construction is very volatile. Luckily, it's been really good for the past 10 to 15 years. Really, since 08, 09, it's been good. Like, we really haven't had a dip. I mean, even during COVID, things just went rampant. So,
Yeah.
but it still has its ups and downs, and I'm trying to develop that 6 month emergency fund so that I can keep people hired, keep people going in the company even during those downturns, so we can weather those storms. And then, yeah, just trying to do as much as I can to where people can thrive within the company.
Nice. Okay. And there's another question I wanted to ask you. Oh, yeah. Okay. Brain fart, right? Um, so anybody watching this, right? I mean, obviously people are watching this and they're going to see you. Like, who would be like your ideal client? Like, if someone was to say, "Oh, I want to hire him," like, who is the typical people that you would be working
Yeah, I mean, I work with a pretty wide variety of customers, but I would say obviously business owners that are looking to expand or build or renovate their new space. But I think my target customer is typically, it's a developer that has $5 to $15 million in real estate assets, commercial real estate assets, and they're
with.
looking for a contractor that can go in and help do the tenant improvements, that can help build new places, that can help expand their facilities. Just looking for a single point of contact where they can say, "Hey, Preston, I ran into this issue," or, "Hey, this tenant's leaving, and now I have a doctor coming in. I got to change this office to a dentist or a medical practice. I
Hmm.
need it done within a month." So that's me, right? I those are typically the people that I'm pursuing, are the people that can give me repeat business, that are looking for a single point of contact where I can really try to deliver that building experience multiple times, throughout the year for them.
Okay. So something where you can build a relationship with them and, continue to do business with them over and over again. Um,
Absolutely.
Obviously, they're in a good financial position. So the fact that you mentioned the financial part, it's just for stability on your end because okay, well, that client is going to be around for a long time, and I don't
Right.
have to worry about them going out of business. Because being in business, it's not that you don't do business with other people, but also you want to make sure that you're not wasting your time, you know.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
um, not to say that's wasting your time helping somebody one time, but if you could do repeat business, why not?
Exactly.
Which that's why we say ideal. Now, what would be like the different types of businesses that you can perform for. Because like I have somebody, I actually sent him your information. He's trying to open up a cafe, right? And he wants to build it
Yeah.
from scratch. Like, let's just use him as an example. Um, what would you do, and like what would be your process talking to him to find out like what he would need and how to build out that cafe for him?
Yeah, great question. So we have different services. So there's typical general contracting that you would think of. So let's say this person, your friend that you're talking about, let's say that he or she already has the plans done, the design's complete. They're just looking for pricing and to get the permitting done and get the work done, right? Um, that's certainly something we do. We really try to get as involved as early as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So something that we really try to push for is design build. So before the friend even designs anything, he comes to me, Preston, and says, "Hey, I want to do a cafe. I don't know how big. I don't know even where. I don't know how to design it to get the optimal amount of customers in there and deliver that good experience for these customers as well. I need help just from the ground up." Um, we prefer that because we can really help get in there and um, design it with everything in mind, and we hire the architect ourselves, and you have a single point of contact in me that we're able to conduct that research beforehand and really
Mm-hmm.
try to make sure the building satisfies all your needs. um, we also do a lot of pre-construction services, so even if you want to do development, like, hey, I don't even know if this pencils, I don't know if it's going to work at all, but I at least want to see. We charge a small fee to run a feasibility study, um, get pricing on it, try to analyze the data the best we can to see if this will actually work for you as a developer, as a commercial owner. And if the research shows that it does, then we move on and actually get design done. And so it's a really wide spectrum of what we can do. We're really just trying to serve the commercial real estate professional, to make sure that they can make money and then they can accomplish their mission as well, whatever their business is.
Nice. And I like what you said about like designing it right, because as an example, if you think about a Walmart per se,
Yeah,
right? The way that they have Walmart designed on the inside, they set it up to where the client has the best experience possible.
right.
And they actually just went through a change. I don't know if you've noticed, Walmart, Target, a lot of department stores have done this. They've widened their aisles. If
Mm,
you remember back in the days, you used to walk through the aisles and you'd squeeze by the other person. So
right,
what they've done is they've widened the aisles. They have end caps. They have special sections where it's like the clearance section, and they have the toys in one spot, and then you have the home goods next to another. So everything is detailed and planned out,
right,
right? Um, but a lot of people don't realize the construction of it is really what's the most important thing, because just like they widen the aisles and stuff, it's the way that you can direct your clients is what's the most important thing. It's like if you
right,
think about if you shop in Ross or what's the other one, uh, Home Goods or something like that, and when you go to the checkout line, everything is, in and out, in and out, in and out. It's all organized. And then the checkout line, they have nothing but stuff to buy. So while you're
right,
waiting in line, you're staring at everything to buy, right? So it's the efficiency of the design that can make you more or less money.
right.
So
Exactly.
that I 100% get what you're saying. And that's really, really important for sure. Um, but yeah, is there, I guess, anything else that you'd want to add to this? Any other value you can give, or anything you want to say to anybody?
No, I appreciate the opportunity, Michael, and yeah, I'm really excited for power and your future in power, and um, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity just to speak on the podcast. And anything I can help with, I'm here for you.
All right, man. Same to you. If you have any questions, guys, I'm going to be putting our contact information below. Inside the comments, you guys put any value that you got out of this video. If you would like to reach out to us, comment down below, or you could send direct messages to us. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, do all that good stuff. And I will see you all on the next episode. Take care.